Okay, now we've got two ways to measure how fast or how slow an object moving, and those two ways are speed and velocity, and many times we use them interchangeably, but there's a slight difference in the meanings of these words. So generally when you think of speed, what do you think of? When we think of something moving at say 5 meters per second, or maybe 20 kilometers per hour. Well, first it seems, if we look at the units, it seems like we have a unit for distance, meters or kilometers. That's distance. That's a unit for distance. That's a unit for distance. And the seconds, well, that's a unit for time. And so is hours. That's also a unit for time. So actually, if you're to think about it, and this is what leads us to the formula, speed is actually how much distance you cover in each period of time. It actually just gives us the formula for speed. The formula is speed is the distance that you cover, in a time period. Actually, just write the forward. Distance that you cover in a time period. So if you have a higher speed, that means that you're covering a greater distance in a shorter period of time. If you have moving at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour and someone else is moving at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour, in the same period of time, this person is moving faster. But that's quite intuitive. I guess I don't need to explain that too much. Let's talk more about velocity. What does velocity mean? So this is going to call back to what we talked about in displacement and distance. Displacement, remember, is that distance that an object is from a point. If you have a road, you have a place, position A and position B. The straight line distance, it's maybe 5 kilometers. Maybe there are two locations, your home and a restaurant. That's the displacement. This is straight line distance. While the distance will depend on any path you take. That will determine what the actual distance is. The distance can vary. Maybe you take a much longer road. All these are distances. There are lots of possible distances. This could be 12 kilometers. That could be 4 kilometers. But the one important idea is actually that the distance will never be smaller than the displacement. The displacement is always smaller, and the distance is either equal to or greater than the displacement. So if you cover this, let's say you use this path right here, this curly path that's 12 kilometers, and you get from A to B, and it took you about 1 hour. What would be your speed and what would be your velocity? So that's why we need to talk about the difference. So speed, actually, as I've already said, measures the distance you've covered over the time. So what's the distance you've covered here? 12 kilometers. So speed will be 12 kilometers. Said it's 1 hour. In 1 hour. So your speed is 12 kilometers divided by 1 hour, or 12 kilometers per hour. What's your displacement though here? Your displacement is just the shortest distance from A to B. That's just 5 kilometers. So let's think about your displacement. Your displacement there is going to be 5 kilometers, and it was also covered in 1 hour. So this will not be speed anymore, because this time we have used displacement instead of distance. So when we think about the displacement you cover in a period of time, we're no longer thinking about speed, but we're now thinking about velocity. So velocity, that considers displacement, while speed considers distance. And we've said before already that for speed, it does not matter which direction you're moving in, it just matters how much distance you covered. So whether you move 12 kilometers in that direction, or you move 12 kilometers in this direction, if you do that in 1 hour, your speed is just 12 kilometers per hour. But what's the difference with velocity? Well, for this first situation, we're going to say that you've moved 12 kilometers in the positive direction, you're going in a different direction. And here, if you move from here to here, your displacement won't just be 12 in this situation, it will actually be minus 12. So when we get to calculating your velocity, we're going to basically use your displacement. So also velocity, we're going to just use your displacement and we're gonna divide it by the time that you take to cover that displacement, and we'll find out that actually your velocity in this case will be minus 12 kilometers divided by 1 hour, which will be just 12 kilometers minus 12 kilometers per hour, and that will be your velocity. So speed does not care about where you're going, whether you're moving backwards or forward. But if you're moving backwards, then you're going to have a negative velocity. If you're moving forwards, you're going to have a positive velocity. We can also think about it as up and down. If you throw a ball upwards, you can think about it as having a positive velocity, and if you throw the ball downwards, you could think of it as having a negative velocity, just to show that velocity comes from displacement, and displacement, we consider the direction in which an object is moving. To summarize with the formulas: speed is distance divided by time. Velocity velocity will be displacement divided by time. That's it.